Book of the Dead becoming God in ancient Egypt. Birth of the Book of the Dead. The significance of the Book of the Dead vignettes. The magical power of the vignettes. Part 2. Terrible threats could occur on the passage through the other world, which the deceased dreaded and wanted to avoid, being punished by decapitation in the execution place of the god Osiris by the hands of slaughtering demons, as shown in a picture from the tomb of Ramesses VI. For the ancient Egyptians, decapitation meant irreversible second death, the total extinction. This was the fate of all unrighteous sinners, who failed the final judgment before Osiris. In the 19th dynasty papyrus of Ani, the menacing slaughtering block is placed at the back of Ani, signaling that he has passed the dangerous area unharmed. The reverse world of the beyond was a permanent scary prospect in the Egyptian imagination. Some spells and many passages within other spells explicitly refer to this anxiety. BD 53 and 189. Not walking upside down in the necropolis, not eating feces instead of food or drinking urine instead of water, and spells to secure excreting from the anus. In everyday life, the ancient Egyptians came across reptiles and many poisonous snakes, as we know from the many prescriptions for medication, and the powerful incantations against snake bites and the fatal effects of venom. Therefore, it is only natural that they were also considered to inhabit the netherworld. A series of spells and vignettes has the aim to repel dangerous or hostile animals, such as snakes, crocodiles, or an animal called a peshet, a word for a type of insect. It looks like an oversized insect, commonly interpreted as a corpse-eating insect. It is always the deceased who acts to ward off the dangerous beings, either by spearing or threatening them with his knife. Secret knowledge of names was one of the characteristics of funerary magic. Before the deceased gained access to the field of reeds, he had to pass an interrogation by the different parts of the ferryboat. In the associated vignette, the deceased sits in a sailing boat, obviously after he had proved his knowledge of all the divine components of the ferryboat, which we see presented in writing and in image before him. As their names signified identification with divine beings or parts of them, the ferryboat as a whole was under their protection, and was therefore equipped against any harm by the great serpent Apophis. The same secret knowledge is necessary when approaching the netherworld gateways. The deceased has to call the gate and the associated gatekeeper by their right names. Demon-like monsters or frightening animal-shaped guardians, armed with knives and torches, guard the doorways and give free passage only, after having been correctly addressed by their names. After the period of advanced BD production, few manuscripts lacked examples from the transformation spells. As the most popular and most frequently attested spells in the Book of the Dead, they had as a common topic the impalement of the deceased by the inherent capability of the entity represented. As for transformation spell 87, assuming the form of a satyr snake. It may seem strange to us that on one hand there are a lot of spells for warding off all sorts of snakes, and on the other hand, the deceased considers a transformation into a snake as beneficial. Although dangerous by their poisonous bites, they unite the chthonic powers and can be helpful for a successful passage. Furthermore, snakes have the ability to cyclically peel off their skin and therefore became a popular symbol of regeneration. Birds altogether were considered to belong to the divine sphere. However, the heron, also known as the phoenix, is associated particularly with the being of the sun god. Moreover, the texts highlight a close connection between the heron and the primeval act of creation. The wish to get transformed into a swallow is not as easily comprehensible, because the inherent power of this small bird is hardly imaginable. And yet, the swallow became a solar symbol of rebirth and renewal of life due to its cyclic occurrence as a migratory bird. Book of